You know, when we think of a luxury watch, we usually picture a beautiful timepiece, maybe even a smart investment. But what if your watch could be something more? What if it could be a key that unlocks cash right when you need it, without actually having to sell it? Let's dive into that.
So, picture this. You need a bit of quick capital, but the idea of selling your prized IWC, well, that's just not going to happen. It's a dilemma a lot of collectors face, and honestly, it can be pretty frustrating.
But here's the thing. There is another way. A solution that lets you tap into the value of your watch to get the funds you need, with the full guarantee you'll get it back. This is where the pawn loan comes in, and it can turn your watch into a really powerful financial tool.
So, in this explainer, we're going to break it all down. We'll start with your watch's hidden value, then we'll step into a pawnbroker's shoes to really get their perspective. We'll see exactly why IWC is such a great choice for loans, walk through the different tiers of collateral, and then wrap it all up with some key tips to get the best possible loan offer.
First up, let's get right to the heart of this whole idea. It's all about taking a solid asset, your watch, and making it liquid, but, only when you actually need to. The concept itself is super straightforward. A pawn shop loan is where you use your watch as security or collateral for a short-term loan. You get the cash you need, and as soon as you repay the loan, you get your watch right back. It's a temporary exchange for capital, not a permanent goodbye.
Okay, to really get this, we need to completely shift our thinking for a second and look at it like a pawnbroker. What makes them look at a watch and see not just a nice item, but fantastic collateral for a loan? So what is that secret formula? Why are some watches a sure thing for a broker while others might not get such a great offer? Well, it all comes down to a very specific set of criteria. And that brings us to what I like to call the pawnbroker's calculus. It's actually a pretty simple but powerful formula. First, you've got strong brand recognition. Is it a name that people know and trust? Second, high marketability. Is there a big pool of people out there who would want to buy it? And third, proven technical credibility. Is it a well-made, reliable timepiece? A watch that nails all three of these is a pawnbroker's dream, because it just minimizes their risk. And this, of course, leads us right to IWC. Because as it turns out, IWC scores incredibly well on that calculus, which makes it a real favorite when it comes to asset-based loans.
And here's exactly why IWC is such a powerhouse. Its aviation heritage gives it this amazing backstory. Its precision engineering means it's technically solid, and its iconic designs are just instantly recognizable. For a pawnbroker, that trifecta means less risk and a much easier valuation, which, at the end of the day, usually means a better offer for you.
But not all IWC watches are seen as equal in a lender's eyes. We can actually break them down into three pretty distinct tiers, from the absolute top-of-the-line models all the way down to the more accessible ones.
Let's start right at the top with the watches that command the highest possible loan values. These are the ones we call the heavy hitters.
A perfect example is the Portuguese Perpetual Calendar. This watch is a masterpiece of what's called altar relógio, or high watchmaking. It has a perpetual calendar that's a super complex mechanism that knows the day, the month, even for leap years, plus a moon phase. Its technical brilliance makes it a huge magnet for serious collectors.
And because of that incredible demand, watches in this top tier, like the Perpetual Calendar or the legendary Big Pilot, can unlock some really substantial five-figure sums. They give a pawnbroker plenty of room for a significant loan, while still keeping a safe margin for themselves.
All right, on to Tier 2. Now this is the sweet spot. These watches might not be the absolute peak of complex watchmaking, but their mix of huge appeal and solid value makes them amazing collateral.
Here are two perfect examples. The Portuguese chronograph is so iconic that even people who aren't watch nerds recognize it, which creates a massive buyer pool. Then you have the Pilot's Watch Mark XX, which is just a modern classic, practical, stylish, the whole deal. Brokers see both of these as really low risk, which makes them highly liquid assets.
And finally, we've got Tier 3, the accessible assets. Think of these as the everyday luxury pieces, maybe the entry points to the IWC brand. And look, they won't bring in the same kind of value as a Big Pilot, but they are still incredibly practical for raising a more modest, short-term loan.
You've got the Portofino Automatic 40, which is just a classic, go-anywhere dress watch. And then there's the Pilot's Watch Automatic 36, which gives you that iconic pilot look in a more compact size. With a pre-owned value hovering somewhere between £2,000 and £3,000, both are really easy to value and make for very practical collateral.
Okay, so you get the tiers. Now, for the big question, how do you make sure you get the absolute best offer for your watch no matter what tier it's in?
Well, there's one thing that matters more than anything else.
And the key, the secret ingredient, is having what everyone in the industry calls the full set. This is hands down the most important factor in maximizing the value of your watch as an asset. So, what is a full set? It's really simple. You need the original box it came in. You need to gather up all the original paperwork, the warranty cards, receipts, and finally, any records of recent service. Having all of this stuff proves the watch's authenticity and shows it was well cared for, and that gives a pawnbroker a ton of confidence, which translates directly to a better offer for you.
And that really just ties everything together perfectly. A high-quality IWC with a full set, especially a heavy hitter like the Portuguese or Perpetual calendar, is pretty much the ideal asset for a loan. It's the perfect storm of value, marketability, and trust.
So that kind of leaves us with one final thought to chew on. Maybe the true value of that incredible machine on your wrist isn't just about telling time, but about its power to unlock new opportunities right when you need them most. Something to think about.